I've realized that perhaps maybe anxiety medications aren't difficult, or maybe they're worth it. You know what I mean? Like I'm always afraid, because I've had my anxiety for so long. I'm actually afraid that I will be nothing without it, which makes no sense, because maybe it's, if anything, it's making me less of who I was supposed to be, because it has stopped me from living life. I know, even thinking back in the past, I keep telling myself, why was I so anxious to just speak up and say things? I would have made connections, maybe more enemies, but I would have lived. You know what I mean? Like, I would have had some sort of a life. Because I just feel like I'm just observing. Well, it felt like I was just a watcher. Like, I'm just watching people live their life and experiencing it through them, the very few people that would tell me. Or nowadays, it's even worse. I'm not even a watcher. I'm just completely excluded. At work, I'm not really a part of the group. I do see people talking among each other, having conversations, and I avoid it at all costs. And the weird thing about anxiety, especially if you have social anxiety, is that if you don't kind of like do exposure therapy consistently, your circle for like your basic, how do you call it, like your immunity for that feeling, the anxiety, will get worse. You will not be able to do what you used to do before. Like, for example, when I was a child, I pretty sure I had anxiety, but it was also, I had problems with, I didn't speak the language, so that's where my anxiety came from. Nobody understood me, and I didn't know what anybody was saying to me, but I still had the pressure that I had to understand, because people, like even adults, when somebody doesn't speak the language, they think speaking louder and like slower will help you understand, but you still don't understand the language. So it would pressure me to understand, and that anxiety was horrible. Slowly over time, obviously, I learned the language, and I still had that anxiety. I didn't know what it was, and now I do. It's social anxiety, and it was so bad, I remember. But nowadays, I can't even do what I did as a child. If somebody was to pluck me out of here and put me in a place where they spoke a completely different language, I would be worse off than when I was a child at school, like not knowing. Because I guess, like, when you're a child, or when you're kind of exposed to hard situations, you get either, it does, see, this is a danger with resilience. A lot of people think, oh, if I suffer more, I will become stronger. And that's not the case. If anything, if you are challenged to an extreme amount that you are not prepared for, it will send you backwards, which I feel like happened to a lot of us. If you have anxiety, or any type of anxiety or trauma, you were challenged to an extreme. You weren't supposed to, you weren't ready for that, you weren't prepared effectively to, and if you were, prepared for it effectively, it wouldn't have been so horrible. You would have had a fighting chance. And when you don't have a fighting chance, it creates a horrible situation where you can't get out of it. And if anything, it encourages you to hide and to avoid it at all costs. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us, especially if we're the type of person that doesn't want to keep challenging ourselves. I do not want to make friends at work. I just don't. It's not more of like, it is a sort of anxiety, but it's also more because I've done it before in the past, and I've put myself a little bit on the friendlier side. I tried to appear more friendly. I even tried to wear lighter colors, appear less, I don't know, like, stereotypical friendly. But it did work. People were nicer to me, talked to me more, but I don't have the energy anymore. I just don't have the energy. And in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm not in the place where I can thrive. But if I were to be in a place where, like, for example, when I met my best friend, I was more open, more friendly. I like put myself around her vicinity, if that's the word I'm looking for. Like, I was closer around her. I tried to find excuses to work around her, because I knew that she was my person. And I think I was ready for the challenge. I prepared myself for the challenge. And a lot of us aren't ready for stuff like that. That's why it's horrible to force somebody, to do something. And when you have to kind of put yourself in that situation. Like, you have to prepare yourself. You can't force anybody. That's why, like, sometimes I know people that are very forceful because they, it's worked for them and they think it's going to work for everybody regardless if they're ready or not. And I hope they don't have children, because you can't force somebody against their will. It's not going to help them build resilience. It's going to make them hate it even more, avoid it the rest of their life, and on top of it, hold resentment towards you. So, beep. I don't want to beep. Can you go? God damn it. If it was me, somebody would have beeped already. But I just, you never know who's. The light was on for like the longest time. He like ate all of it, but who cares? We're here. I used to have, when I had my therapist, I don't talk to her anymore because the end of the day, they all say the same thing. I have been more anxious than I have been anything else. I don't know myself without my anxiety. So I do have to be medicated, and that's what it comes down to. Eventually, I probably will, but for now, I'm living life as a sober, very miserable person. And I don't mean sober as in like not drunk. I just mean like undrugged person that should probably be on a prescription for anxiety, because I don't know the difference between me and anxiety anymore, because I have kind of molded myself onto my anxiety. And when somebody tells me, oh, you could just get rid of it or numb it out with prescriptions or whatever, I kind of get nervous, or I get anxiety over that too, because it's like without it, I might not be myself, because that is all I've ever known. Like when you have an ed, you start to be like, wait, who was I before? But you remember the time when you didn't have an ed. You remember it, even if it's a very distant memory where it's like you don't quite remember, but you do remember at the same time. I don't have that with anxiety, because anxiety has been a part of me more than anything else that I can think of, Like, I don't remember when I didn't have it. I remember when I didn't know what it was, and I just blamed myself for being so stupid and overthinking everything, like, consistently all the time. I remember anxiety when I didn't speak English. I remember anxiety when the voices in my head, sorry, that sounds crazy, but your conscience. I remember anxiety in my conscience since the moment I got it. Like, the voice telling me, like, oh, walk slower, you don't want to fall. And it would consistently tell me, don't fall. I was so obsessed with not falling whenever I went somewhere. It was to the point where I would hold on to anybody that was, like, my siblings. They were younger, so it was, like, embarrassing to be, like, around me, because they were, like, I wasn't the cool older sibling. I was never the cool older sibling. I was always, like, the motherly, annoying helicopter sibling that nobody wanted to be associated with. So they would all run ahead of me so I wouldn't hold on to them, because I was so anxious about falling, because I had tripped once. And then one time I fell down the stairs, and only these two girls saw me because I was like with them, and they were like, are you okay? And it wasn't even embarrassing, it just hurt. And I acted like it didn't hurt because I just like didn't want them to be worried and didn't want to make it a bigger deal. But I remember after that, I was severely anxious about falling down the stairs, that I would be very slow. I'm still slow at going up the stairs and shit, so that's great. But my anxiety would consistently shift. Like, it was never gonna go away. It would the only hope I had was it would shift to something I didn't need all the time. Like, obviously nowadays, if I had an anxiety towards stairs and like escalators, it would be easier because I could like find a way around it. I don't go through stairs a lot, but now it's shifted because it just follows me wherever. And it's something bad that happened, that I wasn't prepared to deal with here, not outside. I'm pretty good at like going through things on the outside. Like, I have a I can ignore my pain when people are around because I just feel like I'm embarrassed to show how much in pain I really am. But I can't deal with it in my head. I don't know how to explain it, but the anxiety is like so embedded that it's just shifting. And I remember when I worked at my last warehouse job and I stopped being so socially anxious because I started building, like, I made a friend and then that friend told the other friend good things about me, and then I just didn't have to work, like, make them, like, they already liked me. Like, people started liking me just because I guess they liked my humor, and it's very rare for people to like my humor. Like, my jokes aren't that funny, to be honest. So I wasn't prepared for that, but it worked in my favor, and that created it prepared me because my anxiety wasn't so bad. Because when you know someone wants to be your friend, you know what I mean? You know they want to be your friend. They're going to look for things they like about you versus criticize over you. Because criticism, when you're already an anxious person, only hurts you. If you have an anxious friend and you criticize them, that's not helping because they're already consistently criticizing themselves. That's what anxiety does. It's that constant voice that says, like, there's that one where it's like, be careful, this is gonna happen, and this is gonna, and it gives you every possibility likely that's like bad that could happen. And then there's the other one where it's like, why would you do that? Like, the way you did that, and it could be the dumbest shit. Like, if I help somebody pick something up that they dropped, it will tell me, why did you help them? Like, they obviously didn't want any help. You made them feel uncomfortable by helping them. Why would you do that? Like, honestly, you should go apologize. Something stupid like that. You know what I mean? Like, it would consistently criticize. So it's like, if somebody criticized me on top of my own natural infused negative criticism, it's worse because it's like, damn it, I don't hear anything good ever, and it's like, I'm so uncomfortable. Even my breathing pattern makes me uncomfortable. So it's like, apparently two negatives don't make a positive. So criticism from the inside and the outside does not make a positive outcome. It only makes you more uncomfortable in situations. Whereas, like, if I criticize myself on something and then somebody says something nice about it, like, it's like, I like the way you did that. Like, for example, something that my voice always criticized me in is in, why are you walking like that? Why are you walking like that? And then this one time, this guy said, oh my God, you walk kind of cool. Like, it kind of calmed me down. And I wasn't consistently, like, that voice, that criticism specific, kind of quieted down just because someone was like, hey, you walk kind of cool. Like, I like how you stomp around all angry and shit. It's kind of funny. And I was like, oh, shit. Thank you. I am angry, actually, because there's a voice in my head that hates me. So that's why I'm pissed off all the time. That's why it's like, it's very important to, it's kind of like a radius, you know what I mean? When you do small talk with people, just small talk, you never get deeper than that. And you're like, oh my gosh, even just, like, I don't know how to talk to people deeper, but you still greet people and stuff. If you stop greeting people, you will hate to greet people now. It will become like the circle of anxiety will only shrink if you stop doing things. Like, I stopped talking to people and making jokes. I can't talk to people anymore and make jokes. I just, like, get uncomfortable just even thinking about it. Like, I really, really have to force it out, or it has to be like a total accident. Like, she came over to me and I was just minding my own business, and she was like, why does it smell like cat piss over here? And I don't know why, the first thing that came out of me was like, it's probably me. And then we both smiled, and then that's just kind of what, just me, like, not overthinking it. Things like that, if I would have thought about it, I wouldn't have said anything, and we wouldn't have been friends. You know what I mean? And I used to say dumb shit like that all the time. And now I just don't really, and I kind of isolate myself. So, and it's only gonna get worse if I keep doing. And I know it. Like, I can't go to the meetings at all. Like, even just thinking about the meetings at work, I'm just like, nope. there's this guy at work who's speaking in Spanish to this other guy, and I was just like, oh my god, he speaks Spanish. Like, we can talk to each other. Like, we can communicate. Because it's like, when you're bilingual, and you don't see a lot of people that are bilingual, and even if you do, they don't really consider you as bilingual. They don't know. You're kind of missing another part of you. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't, I don't feel like I can breathe completely because I am not just one. There's not just one side of me, basically. So when I saw him, I got so happy that somebody spoke Spanish in my shift. So I went over to him when he was alone. I was just like, ¿hablas español? And he was like, yeah. He asked me, like, you're Mexican? I was just like, yeah. He's like, I'm Dominican. And then he just started talking to me. And now we say hi to each other. If I would have overthought it and been like, oh my God, I shouldn't say anything, it's going to be weird. Obviously, Spanish, you heard him speaking it, you don't have to ask him, but it's kind of like a open door thing where it's like, we both speak the same language. We have to be friends and talk shit about everybody. No, I'm just kidding. We don't actually talk shit about people. I know Americans always, white people always think that. I already know you're gonna fall. Where's my thing? I just saw a kid with her father getting coffee, and I'm like, can't relate. I don't know why. I've always, one of the people that have made me super anxious all my life is my dad, because of how hard it is to connect with people that are just they take all that hate out on you. Anyways, I really hope the people, every traffic light, I feel like they can see me, because right now you're gonna fall because you're in a hidden spot, so they can't see you. But you're gonna fall, aren't you? Can you not? But yeah, I need to do more things that kind of challenge my social anxiety very slowly. And if you have it too, you should trust me. Over time, it'll make a difference. Take my car to get an oil change, and I don't know why. I think because, well, I do know why. In the past, car places, well, there was one specific one where they made me feel like an idiot because I didn't know car parts. I was 17 at the time, and my car was breaking, and they were treating me horribly, and that really sketched me out from places. And then my dad would consistently do it over time, here and there. Every decision I made, oh, there you go. Decision I made with my car was the stupidest decision always. Like, if I went to get it fixed, it was I'm gonna get ripped off, and I was an idiot. If I let my dad fix it, it was, a drag for him, and he was pissed off at me. If I tried to fix it myself, they would call me an idiot because I didn't know what I was doing. So there was no way around it, So the car place was really annoyed with me because I didn't understand what they were saying, and that made me really sketched out to take my car anywhere. But I found one that they're really nice. The first time I went, they were super nice. They never complicate things just to make me feel, inferior. And ever since, I would take my car there. I get nervous if I even get told to take it somewhere else. I don't like that because it's like they know me there. I've taken it for years now. I don't care if if according to my dad or whoever, it overprices me. I don't care. Just scam me, but fix that damn car, because I don't want to deal with anybody else, because I've had it so much worse. So I take it there, and then I made a decision that I'm gonna start. I always look down. I'm always avoiding eye contact with them, because I'm like, do not make me feel stupid. I already know I am. No, I'm just kidding. That's what I constantly tell myself. Do not criticize me. That's the thing about criticism. Do not criticize me, because I'm already doing it to myself consistently. So it's when I hear criticism or some bullshit, the reason I'm annoyed with it or don't take it well is because I'm already doing it to myself all the time. I've already said what you're about to say 10 times. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't look up. I try not to connect because I don't want them to say anything. But this last time I went, I made a thing where with myself where I'm like, I'm gonna look up and I'm gonna look straight at them so I can work on my eye contact because my eye contact is lacking. Because sometimes when I make eye contact with people, I just think they can read my mind, and I'm just like, they're gonna know my weaknesses, and they're gonna use them against me, you know. So I don't know why I keep thinking that, and now it's sometimes it's getting worse because I don't do that. You know what I mean? That's the thing about anxiety. It's like if you don't make it better, it gets worse. If you don't open up that radius of comfort, it's gonna close up on you, and you're not gonna be able to breathe because it's like you're not trying to like open up that bubble. If we have no choice but to have that damn bubble, you have to open it somehow, or like at least make it bigger so you can move around and breathe. So I am trying to work on my eye contact. Usually I think of mean things. I'm like, if you can read my mind, you're a bitch. And if somebody looks at me, I'm like, oh my god, it's them. And we both know what I was thinking, and it's fun. It makes it fun. But so far, no one looks at me when I'm thinking that, you know? Anyways, I'm gonna go make some soup. It's cold outside. My fingers are frozen. I'll talk to you guys next time. Let me know your weaknesses so I don't have to read your mind when we eventually make eye contact. And if you did make eye contact with me, it doesn't matter because I was already telling you what was on my mind. So, ha!